Okay, welcome. Welcome everyone to Getting to Know Michigan webinar series. This one's all about Michigan housing, what you can expect, key things you ought to know. I am Amir Bagdachi with Michigan Housing, and here's how it's going to work today. I have got right here a bunch of some of the most common questions, the key things, the big items that you probably want to know. We know this because you're asking us questions all the time in our emails and our DMs. And I'm going to go through the answers to some of these most popular questions. At the end, I will get a chance to grab some of the questions that maybe I didn't get to earlier on. You can feel free to use the Q&A function right here in Zoom to ask a question. Throughout the entire process, I will be ably assisted by my deputy number one assistant, Amy. She's invisible, but she'll be doing an amazingly effective job getting some of these basic questions answered. The trickier ones, of course, she can hand off to me for delicate handling. Now, I want to get into the most important things right off the bat, right? The first key question I know you've got, this is everyone's first question, is how do students find out their room assignments? It's one of the biggest ones. So if you apply for housing by the deadline, it was in early May, this is what you can typically expect. You're going to get an email to your UMich email account, and only your UMich email account, with the subject line, urgent, all capital letters, housing contract available. That's kind of our way of trying to gently, subtly communicate that this is urgent and your housing contract is available. Click through the links, it will take you to your housing business portal, and it will show you an offer of a room. It'll say you've got a room type, a double, in this particular building. At this point, no room number, no roommate info. Look that over, and then you've got to sign that contract, submit it back, and that will be yours. That will be your room. When can you expect to hear from us? Well, our timeline for beginning to send out contracts is actually really around the corner. So maybe around next week, you might begin to see some of these first emails. That said, it honestly takes us all summer long. So you might hear from us next week. You might be the week after that. It may be honestly well into August. That's how long it takes for us to get through all of these handcrafted housing assignments that we look over, think very carefully about, trying to make sure we're looking through all the possible options to get you the room that you prefer based on your preferences. All of which is to say, you should be checking your U of M email regularly. I don't know why you wouldn't. It doesn't cost you anything to check a bunch of times. And get in the habit, because it's a key thing in the university. Now, all first years who apply by that deadline can be confident that they will receive a housing assignment. That's how it works here at Michigan. Housing is not required at all. But if you are a new incoming student and you requested housing, you applied for it, you can be confident you will get it. While we don't have a guarantee for all the other people who come in through our system who want housing, either returning students or transfer students, we do try to keep the door open, and they have your own process. And that, again, can be at any time in the summer where you might get an offer or you might see a room open up that you can take. So bear it in mind that it could take a little while, but you're in good hands. Now, the other thing you ought to know is that the room you've been assigned to is the room you are going to move into. So when you get that email from us with your housing assignment, that is not our first offer in a summer-long negotiation. You may have a better room in mind, but you know what? That's basically going to be the room. So great way to start with that bit of truth and expectation setting. Next question. Once I get the contract email, am I done? No, you are not done, because you actually have to sign that contract. Once you receive it, from the day that it goes into your UMich email inbox, you've got 5 business days to look it over, think about it, decide if you want it, and sign that contract electronically. If you are 17 at the time or under 18, there's an extra step where a parent and guardian needs to also sign that contract. There'll be instructions there. But you've got 5 business days to return it. If we don't hear from you at the end of those 5 days, we will begin the cancellation process of that contract. Because what we want to do is we want to make sure that if you're not coming, and if you can believe it, some people who apply change their mind for whatever reason. We're not judging them, but they do. And that means that that room that we offered that person, we could offer that to someone else In fact, maybe someone who we offered a room to doesn't want it, and that's the perfect room you were waiting for. So we want to make sure that we know who's really coming. So we send out those emails. If we don't hear from you in 5 days, we will follow up with you using, again, your UMich email account, using your phone if you gave it to us, double checking to see that if you want that room or not. And if we still don't hear from you, eventually that contract will be canceled. If you were going to be out of the country or out of email contact for whatever reason, the next few weeks, and you feel like, what if I missed that crucial email? Let us know in advance that you're going to be gone. Just email housing@umich.edu with the times that you'll be out. And you can say, hey, I absolutely want to sign my contract. I've been looking forward to it. I want this room, whatever it is. Please don't cancel the contract. We will say, that's wonderful. We will keep that on ice for you. Nothing will change because you let us know. The students we're worried about are the ones who don't tell us anything whatsoever. So once you get that email, you are not done. One more step, look it over and submit to accept that contract. All right, next question. What are my options for changing to a new room later? Okay, first of all, I'd appreciate a little more optimism that the one that we offered you is one that you're gonna like. Let's not judge the room before we even moved in. Don't judge the community. That said, it often happens that some students say, hey, you know what? I see this one, but I had in my mind because my cousin told me that I want a different room. I will let you know, definitely, that there are some ways to change possibly after you move in. But for right now, in the summertime, there aren't that many changes that can happen over the summer from the room that we offered you. Like I said, the room you're assigned to is basically the room you're going to move into. Now, after move-in, there are a couple of different options at play here. One of them is called room change. That is kind of like a wait list. It happens a few weeks after move-in, and you go online and you put your name down and say, hey, this is the room I'm in, but if anything opens up in this building of my dreams, let me know. And you go on a list. And if it does open up and you're high enough on the list, maybe you'll get offered, maybe not. Again, there's also another wait list for winter term, should something open up at that point later on. So that's how room change works. Another option that actually is a little bit different, but it puts more power in your hands, is called room swap. That's where two students who have contracts can actually just swap rooms. It happens actually quite often within individual halls. It's very straightforward. There's really no fee associated, no essay you need to write to justify why you're switching. You just find another person who wants to swap with you and you swap. Room swap is a great way to become roommates with someone, let's say. Say we assign you a roommate, someone that you didn't know, lovely human being, fantastic, incredible collection at home of salamanders, not in the residence halls. Very interesting person. That said, you've met someone down the corridor you'd love to room with. Room swap could be a great way to rearrange who lives in which rooms. Easy, and you can get it done. So room swap and room change. Those are your two basic methods. Next question. What is the alcohol and other drugs policy? Very easy. That policy is no. That's it. I don't know what you're expecting. It's what you'd expect. Basically, all of housing, top to bottom, is substance-free, no alcohol or other drugs environment. The entire campus is no smoking. Now, you may have requested a substance-free room. What does that mean? You know, if basically every room is substance-free. That's a designation that some students really want on their room because it's about more than just what's allowed in the room. It's about a lifestyle. And some students prefer to live on a corridor with students who want to adopt that lifestyle. And almost all of our learning communities by default are substance-free communities. So that's all that that means there. And you may have requested it, maybe not, but just know the policy is no. Now, we actually have a lot of policies that govern expectations in the community, how we want to treat each other, what residents can expect of us. These are in something called the Community Living at Michigan Standards, CLAM for short. And if you go to the housing website and click on policies, it's a little all the way on the top, you'll get links to that document. Read this thing. You may not want to read this thing, but read this thing because it's very helpful. It lays out in detail what the expectations are of all of us. And again, what your expectations are of us in Michigan housing. So very important, and it's all written out there for you. So take your time, enjoy it. Leisurely summer reading, right? Next up, amenities. What does a room come with? It's a big question. Every room, every student in every room is going to come with the same basic set of stuff. Bed, chair, desk, dresser, recycling bin, a ladder to get to the bed on top. And what you're going to have in those rooms, in most cases, I think 95% of the time, it's something called modular furniture or building block furniture, basically the same thing. The idea with that stuff is that there's the bed, the chair, the desk, and you can stack these items into the configuration that you would like. There's instructions there. No tools are required. You can definitely do this as a team. Yes, first of all, believe in yourself. That's the most important thing here. Is I feel some of you are not believing in yourselves. You absolutely can do this furniture. You're not assembling it. It's put together. You're just going to configure it into what you want. Leave the bed on the floor, not a problem. You can make a loft by stacking it on top of the top part of the desk, top part of the dresser. There's a half loft situation. It's very, very doable. That leads us to the next question. How do you put modular furniture together? Which we get actually quite a lot. I don't know if you picked up my previous answer, but the answer is you don't put it together. It's sort of already together. You're just configuring it, stacking it really, using some basic pins into what you want. Some people have been asking a lot recently about lifting the bed, not lofting it, but lifting it. So putting it on risers, and do we have risers? So the way that works is totally acceptable with our modular furniture. You'll actually set the bed on top of the flat part of the desk and flat part of the dresser. It gets it off the ground a few feet, just enough for you to put some storage bins underneath the bed, not as high as a loft, but definitely off the ground. So you can't sit under the bed, but there's plenty of storage space underneath it. And you don't need risers. Can you bring your own risers? The answer is no, you cannot bring your own risers because these beds are designed to be very specific weight, and to be safely set up, you need to follow the configurations that we have there in the guide. It's hard to miss, the right thing to do. You can totally do it. Just don't bring your own risers. Now, by default, the beds, let's see, the bottom of the bed is about 18 inches, I would say, from the ground. So if you have a bin, you can definitely slide a bin of that size underneath it. Hope you feel better about that. It shouldn't be a stressor. Furniture should not be a stressor. Other things to think about, right? But don't worry about the furniture. Also, once you set up your furniture, you can change your mind, the next day after your families have gone. Work with your roommate, figure out what you really want, experiment. Just follow the instructions and set it up safely. Next question, can I bring a fridge? What about a microwave? Absolutely. You can get a fridge, small dorm-size fridge, a standard-size microwave, and bring it into your residence hall room. You can't bring a full-size fridge in there. Electrical load couldn't tolerate it. But yeah, a basic small fridge if you want to. Now, note though, if you buy one, there's nowhere to store it in the hall in the summertime. We actually have no storage space for your valuables after winter term is done. So whatever furniture you buy, whatever fridge you buy, you've got to lug around Michigan for the next 4 years of your life. So a lot of students choose instead to rent one of these units, a refrigerator, microwave, or a micro fridge, which is a microwave stapled to a refrigerator in some way. We work with a third party called College Products. You can check them out at collegeproducts.com. You specify the University of Michigan, and you'll see, voila, you can rent for a fee, about the cost really of definitely storing it for a year. A refrigerator, microwave, or the micro fridge combo. We say 1 per room is what's necessary. Again, we can't take 2 refrigerators for 2 people in that room. So 1 per living area there. And that should be more than enough to give you what you need for that academic year. You're not there for very long. Just basic fridge, basic microwave should be all that you need. But again, if you want to buy your own, go for it. You just got to figure out where to put it when you're done. College Products will just take it off your hands at the end of the year, and they will clean it for the next person. You don't have to worry about that. It's up to you. Totally up to you. Oh, I should also mention College Products, great partners. They will also, if you feel like it, remember, I want to empower you. This is all about empowering you. They will also set up your furniture for you the way you want to, again, for a fee. I think it's about $99.50. They will go in before you show up in late August and set up the room the way you want it set up. They're very happy to do that in exchange for a fee. Again, that's all on their website. It's called room setups or room configurations. You buy that, they will just do it for you. If you don't know what room number you are at that point, because we don't tell you room numbers till a little bit later in the summer, it's okay. You can buy it. Then when you know what it is, you let them know. They'll pop it in the system and take care of it for you. It's just an option. Just an option. You know, it depends what your plans are for that move-in day. Maybe you're looking forward. Maybe you loved Legos and you want to relive it one big time. All right, next up. Do you have a list of things to bring to campus? Yeah, we do. Go on the housing website. That's housing.umich.edu. And in the little help button there, search for what to bring. That will pop up an invaluable webpage, what to bring to campus and what to leave behind. And you can see our suggestions of things to bring to campus. Now, I'm going to get into this a little bit more. Of course, you could also arrive with the basics and then buy stuff when you're here. Very possible to do that. Just think about it. Think about it. Do you really need to bring the entire thing that you live with into you on move-in? Probably not. You might want to just pace it a little bit, go easy, get a feel for the space and what your actual needs are. But that webpage has some suggestions of things to bring. I think shower shoes. Shower shoes are the new necessity right now. I get them. All right, is there anything I shouldn't bring to campus? Whew. There is a detailed list of things you can't bring to campus. Again, that webpage, what to bring to campus and what to leave behind, just search for what to bring, has got a list of some of the biggest things that you shouldn't bring to campus for lots of good reasons. I'll hit some of the biggest categories are there, but this is a detailed list. Things like trampolines, fog machines, tanning beds. You may not bring those to campus unless you were using all three at the same time. That's the requirement. I don't make the rules. Actually, I make some of the rules, and the actual rules are you can't bring those things whatsoever. Sorry about that. Don't bring a piranha. That's on the list also. Basically, if it's an electrical item and it doesn't have an automatic shutoff, this is important. You can't bring it. There are some devices that do have an electronic shutoff, automatic shutoff. Let's say an air fryer that shuts off automatically after a period of time, or an iron. You can bring an iron, if it has an automatic shutoff. Also look on that tag, and sometimes you'll see electrical devices, there's a little tag with a UL on it. That UL is required to be there. It means that that's been reviewed for safety specifications. So check out this list of prohibited items because it goes into great detail. You'll be able to know for sure, oh, George Foreman grill, it's a no. Hoverboard, it's a no. Foliage clipped from the outside and tacked to the wall, that is a no. Some of the biggest things you can't bring is basically if you have to set it on fire for it to work. Candles, incense, so on. No. A humidifier, can't bring it. Dehumidifier, yeah, you can bring it. Humidifier, though, messes with the fire suppression system, causes it to trigger, and then suddenly you and everyone you know, all your stuff is soaked. That's terrible, disastrous. Don't bring a humidifier. And finally, a router. You can't bring a router. What's a router? Doesn't matter. You can't bring one. It's an internet thing. Wi-Fi is free, pervasive. It's everywhere on campus. The same Wi-Fi in academic buildings, the same as in the residence halls. You'll figure it out. Very straightforward. All right, let's see. I want to clarify, you can't bring a tanning bed in the residence hall. At home, it's up to you. All right, is there a laundry service? Easy. No, there is not a laundry service. There are companies in town that'd be happy to work with you to do your laundry. They cannot come inside the building, though. You got to meet them outside and coordinate. That said, just about every single building, I think every single building, has a laundry facility in it, which you are welcome to use. Let's see, the dryer is $1, washer is $1.25. You don't have to pay with change. There's an app, the Wash app, just like it sounds, the Wash app. You can get that connected to a debit card or whatever and pay that way. Very, very convenient. And there's some instructions on how to do laundry down in the laundry rooms. Experiment, try it if you've never done it before. It's liberating, it's empowering. Not the level of modular furniture, but it's a good time. So whatever your laundry preference, your style is, you can definitely do it. We encourage you to use the ones in the residence halls. All right, let's get on to roommates. This is a big one. People are nervous about the roommate thing. They shouldn't be. We've been doing this for a long time. We've got a good system in place. How are roommates selected? It's probably the most common question. All right. I would say, and this sort of changes year to year, I'd say about half of students who want a roommate, because they want a double room, triple, and so on, they don't have a particular roommate in mind. They say, give me a roommate. Or they say, hey, I don't have a roommate in mind, and I want to use your roommate finder that was built into the application to find someone, maybe that way. But about half are that way. The other half, though, know who they want to room with, and they request that person on the housing application. Generally speaking, we can make that happen. We regard that as a very high tier preference, which will take precedence over a lot of other preferences. So we want to try to make that happen as much as possible. If you requested someone, we think there must be a reason why they wanted to live with them. So we will put that first and foremost. That said, a couple things can run interference there. If you are in a learning community and your requested roommate isn't, roommate doesn't take precedence there, the learning community does. Or if there's a health accommodation, sometimes the health accommodation, if you let us know about that, would take precedence over the roommate preference. But in general, we try to make it happen. You'll find out your roommate, who that person is for sure, in around the first week of August. We end to email all the students who applied and let them know, we'll update about whether they are in the application process, and if they do have an assignment, what the room number is, and the roommate's contact info. So when is move-in? So this year, it starts the 24th, runs through the 28th of August. And in that first week of August, thereabouts email, you'll be invited to go select a time slot for a particular date and time in that window to arrive, show up, and move in. Simple as that. You might be thinking, well, I'm from out of state. Flights are so expensive right now. How do I pick a time slot? How do I know what to do right now? Because the time slots aren't available till August, but I want to buy a ticket today. I applaud your enthusiasm. Here's what you could do. So you're going to be invited to pick a day and time from these time slots in early August. If you figure out that you're going to fly in, let's say in the middle of that week, and stay overnight, then you've actually got a couple of days to pick from for looking for a time slot. So let's say you anticipate you're flying in early on the 25th, staying that night, and leaving on the 26th. Well, that means that when you get the invitation to go find a time slot, you'll have the 25th and the next day, the 26th, to pick your time that works for you. So that gives you a little bit of wiggle room doing it that way. So is it competitive to get the time slot that you want? If you're on top of your UMich email, generally speaking, no. I mean, if you're hyper specific that you must move in at 9 o'clock on this particular day at Markley, I can't guarantee that. If you've got a little bit of flexibility, then, and you're on top of your email and you don't let the thing wait for 2 weeks, yeah, I think you can generally get what you want, and we can work with you on any emergent circumstances. Life happens, it just does. Can I move in early? Certain students are in programs that require them to come to campus early. Maybe it's the marching band, maybe it's ROTC training. Those programs do have specific move-in deals. You know, they're going to come in early, particular pattern that they're going to follow. Check with those programs. If you're not in any of those programs, then actually your move-in will be with everyone else. You pick the time slot, the earliest one that you can get, and that will be your early move-in. What do I need to do before I move in? Well, you got to get the time slot. That's in early August. And then in those links there'll be a link to a printable unloading permit. You'll print that out, stick it in your vehicle, and that will have your time slot on it. So when you show up, we'll be able to be like, yep, we were expecting you. You're right on time. It's perfect. So with move-in, you basically just pull up. We'll double check that you're here on time. You'll check in. You can borrow a blue bin on wheels, wheel it to your car, empty it out. It takes about 30 minutes to unload the car. And then we'll direct you to a temporary parking space. And from there, with the car a couple blocks away, you can go back to the room and slowly, at your own pace, set up the furniture, unpack, take care of it from there. Now, let's do one of the last questions I want to address is shipping. This is very, very important, okay? After move-in, let's say it's the middle of September, our shipping works like you'd expect. It normally does at your home. Your address will be your residence hall's address, and you can have packages sent there. We've got these amazing package rooms. We will intercept the package, store it securely, and let you know that it has arrived for you. But for move-in, it's a little bit different. Because so many people are coming to campus at the same time, it's like, imagine you opened your door to find your packages that you had ordered for 2-day delivery, but there were 10,000 other packages from 7,000 other people also on your doorstep. Even if it arrived in 2 days, it could take a few days to go through all that stuff. So what we recommend is if you can avoid shipping something just for move-in, avoid that. Bring it with you if you can. Ship essentials by all means that you have to ship. There's no other way to get it. But another option could be that you have it sent, let's say, to the local Target here and then pick it up in Ann Arbor and bring it to your room. Or we partner with John's Pack and Ship, which is a local business. And what John's Pack and Ship does, because they work with us, is they can get your packages and they can actually take it to your room before you show up for move-in. That they do that service for a fee. You can check John's Pack and Ship out. Again, local Ann Arbor business, it's John's Pack and Ship for details there. Now, again, after move-in, those first few weeks of campus, ship to your heart's content, not a problem. We've got these things rolling down to a science. But the fastest way for you to get your package really is not to have a package in those first few weeks. Now with that, actually, it's time to get some questions from our Q&A. I know that there's actually, I see a bunch in there. So what would be one really good question we could ask? Let's turn over. So we did talk about move-in. So if you've got any individual questions there, let me know. Now, is there a place to store luggage when you're there? Large places to store luggage. So that's a great question. In the residence halls themselves, there aren't additional storage rooms that you can take advantage of. So whatever you bring to carry your stuff, you're going to want to figure out where in the room, maybe under a half lofted bed, you can put that there. So then this is also true for golf clubs, hockey material. A lot of people are into stuff that has a lot of storage necessity. We just don't have a lot of storage. Now, again, someone wants to know, where can you rent that micro fridge? That's collegeproducts.com, all one word. Now, let's say you heard me talk about the time slot thing, but even so, you're worried because you're booking a ticket and you feel like locked in. What if it can't work? I'd say take a deep breath. We do this all the time. What you're going to do is you're going to get the ticket that works for you, the plane ticket there, then look at the time slots, get the best one that works for you. If that really just doesn't work, let us know. We will work with you. We want this to be low stress. We also want to make sure that move-in's not congested. The time slots help us make sure that there aren't 100 people coming into your corridor at a certain hour. Paces it. It's all about de-stressing, not re-stressing. That's even a word. So we'll work with you to change the time slot that will work based on what you need. Let us know. Roommate names, once again, when do you get those? You're going to find that out in that first week of August email, thereabouts, your roommate's name and some basic contact info. Someone wants to know, where can you find dimensions of the room? There will be some rough room dimensions in that first week of August email that introduces you to your individual room type. That said, honestly, from experience, if what you're planning requires very specific room dimensions, you maybe are planning too much. I would say that the room is going to be a little cozier than you might be anticipating. Get in there first before you decide to cut carpet. Do you know what I mean? Just get in there, experience the space. We have a wide range of room dimensions from, let's say, 11 by 11 in Markley to 15 by 13, all the same room type, double. So get in there and see what this actually means to you, those numbers. So can students living off campus buy meal plans? Someone wants to know. Absolutely. We do have those available. And when you go off campus, say in your second year, you can still get a meal plan, whether it's unlimited or a certain number of swipes per term. We'd love that. Keeps you in the community, and it's much easier than grocery shopping. Where can students store their belongings over the summer? Let's say you've lived here for a year, you lugged all the stuff over. Where can you store it? The answer is, that is up to you. It's definitely not on campus. Again, there's companies like John's Pack and Ship that really work with students to store stuff over the summer, and then they will deliver it. You don't need to hire a truck. They'll do it for you to wherever you're going to live in the fall. So check them out, John's Pack and Ship. Are there single rooms? One of the most popular questions that we've got this entire year. Yes, there are single rooms. There aren't that many. We do have them. We reserve a lot of them for students who have a, let's say, health accommodation that would make a single room necessary. So that's the first preference for single rooms. But if we've got one, we can give it to you. Now, most learning communities, most of the rooms there are going to be doubles anyway. So if you're a learning community and you also wanted a single, your chances are a little bit lower. Just know that going in. What size are the beds? Someone wants to know. The size of the beds is extra long twin or twin XL. That's like an 80-inch long bed. You need to get sheets and things just for that size. It's sort of unique to colleges, but pretty common in Bed Bath & Beyond, Target, etc. Someone wants to know, can I bring pets such as lizards or hamsters? You can bring a non-piranha fish. That is the only pet you can bring. You can also bring an air fryer. I know that's not a pet, but you know, I classify it in the same number of things as like, should you have this? In the case of pets, no. Air fryer, yeah, you can have one. So let's get a couple more questions there. Someone asked about the air fryer. Yep, that's definitely okay. You can actually begin that process of renting the micro fridge and things like that really at any time. College Products doesn't require you to know where your room is specifically. You can just begin that right away. Again, that's collegeproducts.com. Now, do you need a lot of extra muscle to do the modular furniture? Someone wants to know. No, you don't. I promise you, everyone can do it. Neighbors can help neighbors lift it. It's fine. You can relax about that. A lot of questions we're getting about blenders. I am delighted that the smoothie culture is so strong right now. Yeah, you can bring a blender. That's not a problem. I would say you want to be careful of plugging all of your devices in at the same time. That can, in some places, cause some trouble. People are charging things. They got all sorts of devices going. And some of these new blenders, they are powerful things. But yeah, as long as you don't plug everything in at the same place. Now let's go. Let's do kind of one more question here. When you get your room, what information will be in the housing contract email? Let's end where we started. The housing contract email, which you're going to get next few weeks, maybe into August, it's not going to have the room number. It's not going to have the room dimensions. It's just going to give you the building and the room type. That's all the information we've got at the time. We're not holding on to the other stuff. So we'd like you to make that decision in 5 days based on that basic information. Now, let's say you've got more questions, because I know that you do. What's the fastest way to get them answered? Easily, the fastest way, really two fast ways, is to email housing@umich.edu, where we answer hundreds of questions all day long, or our Instagram @umich_housing. We are answering questions all day there as well. And we do weekly Ask Us Anything sessions on our Instagram stories. So those are the two best ways, I think, to get your questions across. We also have a live chat on the housing website during regular business hours. Check that out. We'd love to get you connected with the information that you want. And if there's something that you think you want to ask about later in the next few days, not a problem. Just let us know, right? You don't need to have all the questions now. We might not have the answer right now, but we'll get it to you as best we can. So with that, just know that we'll be putting clips of this session on our Instagram also. Maybe you can share it, spread the word about that. And this will be available online in the future for you to review. But on behalf of all of us here at Michigan Housing, we've come to the end of this portion of our webinar. We'll have another webinar closer to move-in, answer specific more move-in questions, drilling down into it. But we love your questions. We've got the answers to them, and we are going to make you feel at home. And with that, thank you very much. And thank you for being a part of this Michigan Housing Getting to Know Michigan webinar. Thanks.